So good morning, ladies. And this is our first podcast about Docker's branches and from RMI. And today I am Anastasia first. And today we have Janine, Adina, and Yvonne with us. And we are going to talk about friends, about a friendship relationships. So the first question is, what do you think a good friend is? What do you think a good friend is, Janine?
Hello, my name is Janine from South Africa. Well, I would say a good friend is totally a friend that prays with you, that puts the Lord first in her life. Then, you've got a brilliant friend. Thank you.
Adina, what do you think?
Okay, I'm Medina in South Africa, and I think as well, like Janine said, definitely, someone that walks with you, with the Lord, or your Heavenly Father, or your heavenly best friend. And then, someone that encourages you when, because we all have good days, we all have bad days. So someone that can pick you up and, like, I think Janine also said, to pray with you and just be there for you. So definitely, but someone that keeps you, not someone that leads you off the road, that or from the path, walking with the Lord. So yes, that's what I think.
Thank you, Adina. What do you think, Yvonne?
So for me, well, I think it's like someone that encourages you, right? You have to feel it shouldn't be work to have a friend, it shouldn't be hard work. It should be something very easy. And I've seen with a lot of the friends, if you haven't seen them in a while and you see each other again, it's like no time has passed at all, then you've got a good friend. But I think probably one of the things is someone that keeps you honest, someone that tells you the truth without offending you, without you making you feel unworthy or bad about yourself or anything like that, but just someone that can tell you the truth when you need to hear it. Because a lot of the times, we've got so many people that just agree with us, but just to have that friend to say, you know what, maybe you shouldn't have done that. That's the good thing.
Thank you, ladies. I agree with you, with all of you. But for me, a good friend is someone close to you, someone with from you share the same thoughts, and someone who listens to you, who shares the wonderful things you are experiencing, and sometimes the difficulties they are going through too, who encourages you and shows you affection. And it's so close relationship sometimes. And I would like to know if you remember your first friends. Who were they? Who were they, Janine?
Well, I remember two first friends, especially in primary school, going on to high school, and I've still got contact with the one. Um, yes, and then of course I remember my school friends from very, very young. My mum always said she was from another country, so she spoke another language. And my mum said we were so close that my accent started to change. But I haven't got contact with her. And it was in Swaziland days when we started going to school there. So, yes, I do remember them, but I haven't got contact. I've got one contact from school. And of course, there's Facebook, and we can keep contact through Facebook, but not real close friends.
Yeah.
But the one from school, I've still got contact once in a while. So thank you.
Yeah, for me, there was one friend that I had from primary school until we, finished up with school, and then we kind of went our separate ways, and she got married, and we lost contact. But she was not the only one. There were other good friends as well. You know, we were in high school, we were sometimes a group of good friends. Sometimes one or two of us would like visit separately, sometimes all of us together. But she was always the one, she was always there. She was also always like a constant, you know, in my life during my school years. And then now currently one of my best friends, I've been friends with her. She's my hairdresser. But we've been friends like since 2000. So it's 25 years already. So yeah,
Wow.
she's just across a few blocks away from me. So we don't see each other like each and every day, but you know, when we do visit, you know, it's like you can't stop talking, you know. And she's always a support also, and a willing ear, and willing to pray with you, and yeah, so
So my first friend, so she was actually a friend of me and my sisters, you know, all my sisters. So the problem with us is because we're a big family, everyone that comes into the family is friends with everyone, right? So it's not just one person's friend, it's like everyone comes in there and just becomes part of the family. That's how it worked with us. But I remember we had this one friend where we were staying, and when we moved, can't remember whether it was them that moved or we, because I was just so small. You know, that's how I remember it. I was so small. But we were going through what my daughter calls the memory box, and I got two letters from her that I still had. Like the letters is like so brown, you know, but it's still two letters. And she must have been a friend of mine like so long ago, because she even wrote on one of the letters, "Let your sister read this to you." So I couldn't even read back then, right? So so I remember her always being a friend. But growing up, I didn't have like a best friend. You know, we were always in groups of friends and going on. And I guess the closest I came to a best friend that I saw almost every day was Janine, you know. So I really, growing up, you know, we had friends, but we were always in a group. We were never like, you know, maybe because I grew up with a lot of cousins, boy cousins, you know, I didn't really have friends like that, no.
Oh, wow. Like you, Yvonne, my best friend in my childhood was my sister.
Mm.
Yeah, she was the first. And I remember my childhood friends, they were classmates too. I think many of those friendships ended over time because we went our separate ways and suddenly stopped sharing the same thoughts or interests. But some others remain, just two of them, despite the
Mm.
change. And I still count a couple of them in my life, but it's persons who shared my thoughts the same way. So this is some that we can uh, uh, is the same in all our cases. No,
Mm.
how did you feel around them? What did you appreciate most about them?
Well, the friend that I had in school, the last one, but she eventually moved away, was, of course, I appreciated her honesty. We could always be honest and till up to this day. But I also just want to add, I realize friends, you make friends in different stages of your life.
Mm.
And yes, you keep those friends that you were friends with in school, but it's in the most difficult times, those friends that really feel the Lord gave them to you. And it's one of those things you're forever going to be friends with.
Mm.
Like, I remember Yvonne, I prayed her into my life. So we're always going to be friends. And of
Mm.
course, yes,
Yeah.
what I appreciate the most is her honesty. And we can really be one of those friends that keeps you accountable, and you can run to and say, did I react wrong now? And without feeling bad, she will say, yes, you didn't do the right thing now. And we can do it with each other. We school friends, you lose contact. It's not that accountable friends. So those friends that, and I also believe when you mature more, those friends are your lifelong friends. I've heard of situations where you've been friends in school and you forever and they can speak weekly. But yes, I don't have a friend like that. It's my later friends that it's my forever friends, what I call them now. And yes, of course, by them you can just be yourself. Thank you.
Yes, from my childhood friendship, the one friend that I can remember just feeling, comfortable around her, not having to pretend to be someone or something else than what you are, supporting each other. She was athletic, I wasn't. But then when she would participate at the sporting events, supporting her, being there, cheering her on. And when I do something, her being there, cheering me on and trusting each other. Yeah, I think that's very important with a friendship, is when you do share something confidently with someone, is to be able to trust them. And there's a picture in my mind, of like a very steep hill, and one of the friends cannot get up there, but the other one is already there and just helping and pulling the one that can't get up, just helping them to also get up. So I think that trust and honesty and support, encouragement, walking the same, being like-minded with regards to your beliefs, your relationship with the Lord, encouragement. Yeah, I think that's important when you're with friendships, but trust also. How do you share something with someone if you don't trust them? So that's also for me.
Yeah, definitely. I think I agree, right? Being yourself, being able to be just you. And you want to be you in every conversation and with every person that you meet. But with a friend, it's just a bit different. You can be like, I almost want to say the naked you, and it's okay. It's okay with them, right? And also something, because so for me, now this is specific to me, right? Because I'm not a very good friend, right? I'm not someone that keeps in touch with someone, really the only person I keep in touch with regularly is Janine. I need to hear from her at least once a week, right? And the thing is, so I don't really keep in touch with friends. So if we don't work together, like I would make good friends at work, but I don't keep in touch. But a nice thing about most of the friends that I have is when we get in touch, it's always like, no one is like, you never kept in touch with me, it's just like we're talking and it's like nothing even happened. Just an example, Janine, I think you'll remember her. There was a friend of mine that was with Janine at my father-in-law's funeral. We worked it out, it's 10 years ago, right? I never saw her again in the 10 years. Maybe we would exchange a message on Facebook, maybe. I don't even think we WhatsApped or anything like that, right? And out of the blue, she contacted me. She said, I dreamt about you. I miss you. Can I come and have a cup of coffee? And I said, well, yes, of course, you can come and have a cup of coffee. And we sat and we chatted that day as if the 10 years wasn't even there. A lot has happened in the 10 years, and that's what I like. That's the type of friendships that I like, is the easy friendships where it's like from both sides, it's easy and it's nice. And when you do the deep talking, and when you do sometimes cry and you talk about the deep things, they're always there listen and not to judge you, you're right? Because that's something, you know, like when I speak to Janine, I never feel judged, you know, even if I tell her my deepest, darkest secret, I never feel judged by her. And so is many of my friends is like that. And that's what I love about the true friendships that you have, right?
Oh, wow. Thank you, Mon. I feel the same sometimes with some of my friends, and I appreciate the most when I feel loved. I felt
Mm,
they care about me. And now something comes to mind. I often remember that people won't remember many of the things you gave them, but they will always remember how you made them feel. And they
mm,
made me feel they cared about me and that they cared about me doing well. And it's the first thing that I appreciate from a friend. Were you disappointed by any of them? Why did you handle it?
Well, I've made friends in my life that, yes, of course, that disappointed me so much. And it is again in the journey of your life. And yes, that disappointed me like crazy, but not one of my friends that I'm still friends with. But yes, I believe those friends that disappoint you, maybe they're not meant to be your friends because you get wrong friends also. And yes, I've had them. And it was a painful journey, but yes, again, that's part of our journey to learn to forgive. So,
mm,
yes.
mm,
But for me, I can't really remember, you know, me and my friend, school friend, and some of the other friends that were in our group, like on and off, there would sometimes be, you know, that we wouldn't agree about something and then maybe have like a disagreement, you know, but there was no, I can't remember of one friend that I can say really disappointed me ever, you know. I don't know, the Lord probably send the right friends because I'm not someone that I have a lot of friends, you know, but the friends I do have, I don't know, it's like He sent all of them into my life. So in terms of female friends, best friends, besties, BFFs, I've never had someone that really disappointed me. I mean, I
mm,
can't think of one now, honestly.
mm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Me neither, Edina. Just thinking now, you know, a lot of the times, I think when you don't agree on things, it's like you sort of just drift apart and you don't see each other anymore. There
Mm.
was nothing like I had a friend and we had this, can I say, big breakup type of disappointment,
Mm.
fight, or anything like that. It's just sort of our things changed, you know, our goals, and that's what happens as you grow older, right? I'm sorry if my dog is bothering. She's not that loud. Um, if I think it's just sort of as you're growing up, you're growing apart because you're not interested in the same things anymore, right? And then when you mature, you get those friends that stay with you for life. And I think, well, no, really, you know, I really haven't had that I could say big disappointments by friends or any. I think when you choose your friends, you do it much wiser than when you choose, I don't know, other people in your life. Let me not say
No.
anything else there.
Well, I feel the same with my two friends. There are a couple of friends that um, were with me in a long, long time, you know. But there were times when I felt let down because I thought they weren't giving me the attention I needed, or because they underestimate my friendship. And when I was a child, I looked for new friends to replace what I had before. And after I meet my forever friend, I was able to give them space and forgiveness
Mm,
and time so I could come back when he called. And it's really a beautiful thing that we can do with other people, no? Another,
Mm.
being betrayed by your friend. Did you ever trust him or her again in the same way? But you said many of you didn't have disappointments. But in my case, there were many friendships that were never the same again. Even though I forgave, the distance meant I was never what I was, what I what I once was. So maybe do you need to
I
talk
wanted to
something,
I just
Daniel?
wanted to say something, right? On this subject. I think when it comes to friends, right, when they disappoint you, and it's like you say, things isn't the same again afterwards, you know. You can forgive anyone, but it doesn't mean you have to let them back into your life, you know. So when someone hurts or disappoints you and you forgive them, it doesn't, I don't think it really means that you need to make them that same best friend that they were in your life. So I think maybe that's what happens, you know. It's like you just sort of move on and move into something new. So that's what I wanted to say. Janine, were you gonna say
Yes.
something?
I also think that's why we must make sure that it's friends that the Lord sends into your life.
Yes.
Because I have had many wrong friends. It was in a
Mhm.
time in my life that I made many wrong choices, and those were totally friends. And there was one best friend that the Lord, I totally believe today that the Lord didn't send into my life. And it was after finishing school and everything, and I made many wrong choices. So yes, and I was influenced by friends, but it's not their fault. It was my own fault. I made the wrong choices. And yes, it's like Yvonne said, you forgive, because of course we have to forgive, but you don't have to be best friends. And anyway, you haven't got the same, how can I say, goals now. If your focus is not, of course, if both of you decide you're just going to follow the Lord, then yes, it's a different story. But yeah, forgiveness,
No,
of course, but you don't have to be best friends after that.
I think in my situation, you know, sometimes one of my friends would do something you don't like, or you would disagree about something, or, you know, there was something, but it was never something like huge, like someone that betrays you, you know, that thing that cuts you deep in your, you know, that just rips your heart in pieces. There was never something like that. So like the disagreements, or someone just doing something that you don't maybe agree with or you didn't like, it was nothing that, you know, you couldn't work through and, you know, just continue. It wasn't huge, like a betrayal or something like that, where you forgive, but you will never trust them again. You know, it was nothing like that. So, but like I said, yes, there was disagreement, stuff like that, but nothing that couldn't be sorted out, and you just move on, you know?
Yeah,
Thank
and I
you,
also
ladies.
think that the way you grow up makes it different, right? Because I was the youngest of five. I couldn't be sensitive. If I was sensitive, I wouldn't have made it at home, you know, because I was the youngest one. And so I had to be, I won't say hard, but you know, I didn't take everything to heart that was said to me. So maybe, you know, it also plays a role that when you are a sensitive person, and it's good to have people like that, you know, because we need everyone. I think you're more sensitive to being hurt by a friend because you are a sensitive person. Like with me, I would rather, you know, I wouldn't even see it as a slight against me, you know, I would just take it and move on, where someone else may take it as, you know, this is very offensive that you said to me. And I guess the way you grow up makes a difference, and your personality. I mean, who you are and what type of person you are also makes a huge difference.
Yeah, I just want to add that, you know, the friend I had in school, So I have shared in my other novel, I grew up in a house with alcohol parents that were both alcoholics, and there was domestic violence and stuff like that. And she grew up in exactly the same situation. It was exactly the same. So I think there was a common the common hurt and stuff was there, so which made us click, if I can describe it in that way, because we understood where the other one came from, and the shame that you sometimes felt, the hurt that you sometimes felt, all those things we could relate. And that's why, we could support each other and just accept one another with all that drama that came with you, and just be there for each other and cry on each other's shoulders. So I think that was one of the things that also played a
Without drama.
And maybe,
Thank you.
and maybe that same thing was the reason I didn't have close friends, when I was younger, because of the shame. Because I didn't bring my friends home. They didn't come to visit me at home or any like that. And it's weird because my brothers and sisters didn't really have that same shame that I had. I don't know why I was ashamed. I have no idea. It only started to, well, probably because when they were in high school, they didn't feel it anymore, because by the time I got in high school, it didn't bother me that much. But when you're younger, that teenage phase, you don't want people to see and, know what's going on and all of that. So maybe that was one of the reasons as well. And it's so unnecessary because, a lot of children won't even mind if you just think about it. But yes, and that's maybe because I really made good friends like in high school because, but before that, not really, no.
Okay, thank you, ladies. After your experience, would you say that you trust your friends completely?
Well, for me, the friend that hurt me after school, that totally betrayed my trust, I forgive her, and it took a very long time. And let me quickly explain. She was one of my best friends where I started working, and I trusted her. And yes, so I was married at that time, and she betrayed me with my own husband. So that I tried to trust her, half keep her close. I stayed with her, friends with her. It was first later in my journey that I realized that wasn't a good friendship. And yes, I would party with her. So totally when I chose the right way, we lost contact later. And I will probably never ever trust her again. But I do forgive her. And yes, I'll even be friendly with her because you get to that part where you actually feel sorry for a person, and you so much need the Lord, and that's what you wish for her. And I totally believe she's on the right path today. But yes, I'll probably never trust, but yes. Thank you.
Yvonne, I don't know if you want to share something.
Oh, no, I don't have a situation that's really that bad that I can give, I can say that for my BFF that I've got now, Janine, I trust her with my life. So
Oh.
so that's about what I can say, but I really don't, maybe I was blessed to not have, something like that in my life, that I could say that about a friend. There's a lot of other people in my life, but saying that about a friend, no.
Okay, in my case, definitely I learned don't trust in people. Definitely my forever friend,
Yes.
the Son of God, is the only one I can completely trust. Since I met him when I was going through a relationship crisis, I have been able to find the person who never fails. He never fails. He never lies, and who has the best advice and loving words precisely for the moment. And it's so much great, the way he can, uh, mm, I feel so much better with him, and he's my best friend for that reason. I cannot trust in people because um we we can fail, we can do a hard people, so it's our nature, but it's he's not the same. So just I just can't trust in him. And the maybe this is the last question, I don't remember, but how did you meet this best friend forever, ladies? Who is he to you? What is the final message for young ladies about friendship, and who can they meet this friend for her life?
Well, in my life, I've always known the Lord, and I remember I had this sweet grandmother that would always, and she had very terrible arthritis, and she would sit with her hands on the bed, always praying, talking to him. So she was such a great example. There wasn't a specific day that I met the Lord. I just always knew about him. I just always talked with him. And there was a time in my life, I'm going to admit it, that I left my first love, the Lord. And I also want to give this testimony. That's why we must always, always run to the Lord first. I remember running to Yvonne, and I'll never forget the specific place while running to her, because I was upset about something. And the next moment, I heard the Lord saying to me, I wish you'll run that way to me. So that really hit home, to first run to him, and we can go with anything to him 24/7. Yes, he's just always there. So, yes.
Yeah, for me, I would say, I don't know, since childhood, Joel, since my first memories, I always believed that there is a God, that the Lord is there. And I mean, I prayed, and that best friend of mine, we went to all the Sunday school things and everything together. But I never, as a child, saw him like as a best friend. It's not something that I knew, that you could like have the Lord as your best friend as well. I just thought he's God. But like I said, I always believed in him. Where I learned that he can be more, and I think he should be your first, best friend before you get any other friends, because he must be your best friend when you are a child, when you are a teenager, especially, those difficult years, having him as your best friend, because he's always there with you. You can trust him. He won't hurt you. He won't forsake you. I think that will make such a huge difference to your, those young teenage difficult years, your childhood, when you're a young adult. It's just amazing. I think it would be so amazing to have him from a young age as your best friend. Most important relationship. then you can ask him and trust him to send a friend into your life that will, walk the journey with you, and you will be like-minded and just both love the Lord, because it's someone that he will send into your life, and he knows what kind of friend you need and exactly who will be a good friend to you. So that's what I wanted to say.
Yes, I guess for me, my road is a bit different than the two of you, right? I mean, I knew of the Lord when I was younger, but I didn't know him. I've heard about him. Of course, we all in our schools when I was younger, we had Bible as as we didn't really go to church. We did sometimes go to youth, and then we went to church, but then we dropped out again. It wasn't really. So when I met him as my best friend, it was, of course, in time of crisis, and I didn't even believe he existed at the time. And then he became my best friend, and it was like such a beautiful time in my life thinking back, meeting him, But at the same time, I would rather suggest to all of the young ladies out there, meet him now while you're still young, while you've got a road ahead and you can travel with him. Because a lot of the times I look back and I see how much time I've missed that I could have used in my youth to be his his friend, his bride, him being my friend. So there's just so much that I've missed because I waited so late. And it wasn't that he wasn't knocking. I'm sure he was knocking all the time. I just wasn't listening. And so if I could give anyone advice, for him as your best friend, just do it early in your life, so that you can have that road to walk with him. I think you can bear so much more fruit when you're younger, that when you meet him when you're much older. And then I would like to agree with Adina that when he's your best friend, he's going to send you an earthly friend that's going to be that friend in your life, that's going to be that person in your life. It's like with any relationship that you choose, right? Is if he's at the center of it all, it's going to be a good thing because he's at the center of it all. And that I think that's my message to the ladies out there when it comes to like a friend and having your best friend and then him choosing who can walk this road with you while you're here on earth. Even when I know that we probably have young girls here, but even when you're a bit older and you meet someone that you're going to spend the rest of your life with, make sure that person is sold out to him. That person is totally the Lord's person, because you won't be able to change that boy into what you want if he if he's not if he doesn't love the Lord as much or more than you do. Then I know it sounds difficult to hear this, but you won't be able to change him then. So I guess that's my advice to the ladies, to the little girls out there who waited advice, but really something to take to heart and to learn from our mistakes.
Thank you, ladies. In my case, it was when my parents were going through a severe financial crisis that led us to a new church, where they told me about the Lord, the Son of my Heavenly Father. And that's how I got to know him. Later, through various situations, especially painful ones, situations like when my husband left home and I cried out to my friend, this friend that I know in my young time, and I cry out for help. And that's how I got to know him much better. I realized that he was always here by my side, not just in heaven, which is what I had always imagined. And that even though I can't see him physically, he is by my side. And in fact, he is always with me. I have seen him answering so many of my my questions and requests, that he has convinced me that he is a real person, that he is listen to me. He is my best friend, my confidant, the one who accompanies me, helps me in everything, even when I make mistakes. He's not there to condemn, but rather he helps me get out of troubles. He shows me what to do in every situation whenever I ask for help. And he is a unique and unconditional friend for me. So I want to tell all of the young ladies is that he's a much more special friend that you think, and much better than the friends we might have on earth. You may think he isn't because you have had the picture in your mind of him as someone who demands you to be perfect, but he isn't like that. He loves you and just wants you to accept and know him. And just as you are now, you don't have to be perfect person. Just be yourself and open your heart to this beautiful friendship with the Lord. This is my final message. Maybe one of you wants to share anything else? No, okay. Thank you, ladies, for share this time with me, and to trust. We trust in the Lord that we will open your hearts to Him, and just